Hey, just following up on a prior video I made about stock markets. You have a situation in U.S. stock markets where I had said that there is a very good chance that you'd see significant, like a sell-off after this move down, and you got that follow-through. Now you're getting a pullback, but that hasn't really given a clear, good sign to sell until yesterday, until basically yesterday. You got this big on its 15-minute chart wick down, and then you got the fall. Now it's pulled back. Basically, you have an opportunity to sell this at 22.58 on the futures, with a stop at like 23.65. Basically, like a 7.5 pip stop. If you want to be a little generous, maybe above this high, just a couple pips higher. So that's maybe an eight not 8 tick. That's an 60 pip stop or an 80 pip stop. But if that's like basically the equivalent of 6 or 8 points on the S&P, that sounds like a lot, but actually, like I think, but actually if you just trade one contract, like 10 points is like 100 ticks, but in actual value that's only 50 pips. So this stop would maybe be 30 pips, maximum 40 pips or so. So when I zoom out on this hourly chart, you obviously got a clear sign of a change in trend, and as a result, you're going to get a lot of sellers, and then you have this doji, often like obviously sign of reversal. Not that that's ever by itself any reason to sell, but now I have price in this hourly in the SP 500 at resistance, and a clear change of trend, and I would expect at least some follow through. So whether or not it makes a new low, obviously you never know that, but there's a very good chance of that happening. At the very least, some move down to test the prior lows. And then when I look at the Dow, you have the same situation on a daily chart. It doesn't look that ugly, you could say, until you look at a 4-hour chart. Now, now it hasn't until I look at a 4-hour chart on this Dow, and you see that that happening here. I mean, possibly some people might even say, "Oh, well, that's a head and shoulders." Well, I mean, if it is, that head and shoulders already played out here, but you do have roll reversal, sell area in this in this region in the Dow. So anywhere from, I guess, here to including in the S&P and a little higher would be basically the sell, like a resistance where I would think people are going to be selling this down. So this hasn't necessarily turned into like a major place for where you maybe have like a huge massive breakdown, but maybe at least maybe another couple weeks of this happening, of basically selling. And then if I look at the NASDAQ, I have a similar situation on the NASDAQ showing where the NASDAQ actually produced a new high after the sell-off, but if I look on this hourly chart, you do have, this is an opportunity to sell. You have higher lows and higher highs until you got this low, and now you're basically getting a clear sign to sell, at least for one move down, and then we'll see after that. But I think there's a very good chance this could become more significant. I'm certainly not going to be shorting NASDAQ because it just trades a lot more bullishly, but if I short anything, it'll probably be the S&P or the Dow. So S&P is usually the one I look at particularly, and while I'm looking at this, I also want to make sure I'm looking at gold, because there has been a bit of inverse correlation between those two. So watch out for that. Hopefully it'll turn out to be a very, very good size move today.